Rachel, it was a really interesting announcement, and it comes off the back of a couple of interesting developments. The Scott Trust that owns the Guardian have recently apologised for its links with the slave trade, has said it's going to pay some reparations. We've had the Trevelyan family, Laura Trevelyan, a former BBC journalist, has gone back to the Caribbean, apologised, given money. What do you think about the royal family doing this now?
Well, I think it's a really interesting statement that they've made. And of course, both King Charles and Prince William have previously expressed their sorrow over the issue of slavery. But now to cooperate with this inquiry is a significant moment. And it follows, I think, the revelation that Edward Colston, the slave trader, had given £1,000 worth of shares in the Royal African Company to King William III many centuries ago. So there was a sort of tipping point, if you like. But the reaction to that, they didn't have to react in the way they did. The question, though, is does it open up a whole set of other questions about if there are links found, which obviously there were links, those have been proven. What happens? Are you just going to say sorry? Are you going to give some money? What actually happens as a result of this? So far, they've been quite careful. They've used the word sorrow rather than actually apologising, saying sorry, because that's seen as if you actually apologise, you need to make some reparation for that too. So I think it's an interesting development, but actually, what does it mean?
And Natasha, do you think this is also been done? Well, look, there's two schools of thought. One is that actually King Charles does really care about this issue, and there's a lot of consciousness about this, and this country's having a bit of a moment of reckoning in terms of empire and colonialism and the past. There's another more cynical view, which is saying, is this a bit of kind of getting things out the way before the coronation?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe, but I think personally my sort of cynical view of this is that I think, and whether you think it's cynical or not, Charles knows that he's losing support and the monarchy is losing support in Commonwealth countries, right? So for me, it's natural for him to look at what he can do to shore up that support and to prove that he is listening. And we saw, with Kate and Will's recent tours, some of them didn't go down so well. And I think, it is healthy for the royal family to sort of be listening and to be open to public opinion and to sort of be making their case that they're not some stuffy old royal family like they used to be. I think, it's really interesting. I can't quite see, that the Queen would have made the same decision if she had still been around. I think he is obviously showing that he's doing things very, very differently.
That's a really interesting point. Do you think, Rachel, this is, King Charles slowly flexing a bit of muscle and saying, actually, I am going to be a more modern monarch, and I do want to kind of get into some of these difficult issues?
Definitely, I think it is him striking a different tone for sure. And of course, it also follows all the allegations about suspicions of racism towards Meghan Markle, the lady in waiting who said, "Where are you really from?" Lady Hussey. So it comes off the back of a series of problems that the royal family have had about race. So I think it is a deliberate attempt to draw a line under that, but I'm still not quite sure how significant it will be, and I think they may end up ending up with more problems because they won't really be able to satisfy people.
I also wonder as well if there might be a bit of a backlash to this, because as you say, you're opening up the archive, you're opening up a can of worms, really. I mean, it's going to be fascinating, probably quite distressing as well to see some of the things that comes out of this. And where does that take us, as you see, because all of this is part of the ongoing culture war as well, isn't it, in terms of how we look back at empire and Britain's times in terms of, ruling the world and all the colonies. It is going to be interesting. I wonder if at some point there might even be a bit of a backlash to Charles doing this, Natasha.
Yeah, and I think obviously, you look at how the royals usually do things, and they're sort of, MO is usually to just say as little as possible and to not react to stories like this. So it's really interesting for them to react to not, a story in the Guardian of all places, not the most royal of friendly of newspapers, to come up with this and say they're going to be cooperating. It's definitely showing a more proactive sort of approach to the royals that I just don't think we've seen before. But yes, is Charles going to get a backlash from this? Maybe, but I don't think he minds. I think he's just going to use it to show that he's more willing to listen than.
Well, two views coming in from our listeners. Adrian has messaged in saying, "I trust the history experts are carefully calculating the reparations owed to us by the Saxons, Vikings, Romans, Normans et al." So that's one view.
True.
And then someone else's message saying, "Really, Aisha, a moment of reckoning. Racism is rife. This is just window dressing." So two very different views there.